In the comments on my Chalk Outlines reaction, this was one of the most recommended songs that I check out. You all have given me some amazing things to listen to, so I'm super excited about this. It's been great, by the way, to get to know you renegades and to have so much support so early on when I've started doing these reaction videos. I feel a little special place in my heart for you all, especially too because your ideals of music, the way that you really celebrate, let's say, humanity in the art. You know, we're in a time right now with music where there's a lot of AI stuff happening, and we're starting to have to deal with the moral and ethical boundaries of what it means to make music, and how do we still make each other feel by doing authentic human things. And what's so cool about the Renegades and Friends is that there's a commitment to authenticity and vulnerability and human expression. And I'm just so grateful that I get to meet you all and that I've been turned on to this amazing artist, Ren, and his friends. And what a great thing to create community and to create a tribe around. I'm going to be making videos for you all for a while. Here's my website, more about me here. I teach around the Manhattan tri-state area. Subscribe and like if you haven't done it already. All right, here we go. I'm just going to jump right in, and I'm going to listen to this whole thing all the way through and react to it all the way through. Then we're going to bounce back, and I'm just going to break down what she's doing all the way through the song and listen to it a second time. All right, here we go. Let's jump right in.
Probably saw me let go, panicked and you said hello, swallowing the words you say. You know I'm not okay, but let me tell her I ain't cold. Now you're coming back for more. You know me, you know I'll cave, but scars will never fade. So meet me to favorite spot, and one by one I'll cut your fingers clean off, so you can never pull me down. One by one I'll box them up, scream murder. No, you can never hurt no one. So tell me where you're gone, and tell me is the fun gone? Whoa, maybe I should shed a tear, 'cause this was me last year. So meet me late at night where no one hears us. I won't bite, and one by one I'll cut your fingers clean off, so you can never pull me down. One by one I'll box them up, scream murder, so you can never hurt no one. so keep 'em close to you. Ay, put your keys in your knuckles like I have to. Ay,
Oh my God. What? What is happening? Wow. You all were right again. What a performance. Wow. We keep talking about Goosebumps, and I know it's like getting a little old here probably, but man, like there were like 3 times I just went, my whole body like reacted to that. What a potent performance that was. Wow. Okay, so I'm going to go back and break down some things I'm hearing, but just kind of my zoomed out thing. This is what popped up in my mind as I was listening. The topic of artistic fluency. Artistic fluency is this concept I talk about a lot with my students where our goal as singers is to build our vocal technique to a level where we're able to think primarily about the expressive things that we're hoping to come through us so that our technique works for us instead of when we're singing, we're thinking about all of the vocal things we're doing. And it takes a long time and a lot of hours of study to get to a point where you can sing with fluency, where you can be expressive, you can be connected to the text, and you can let go into the song and just get into it, and your voice will deliver the sounds that you're looking for it to deliver. This is artistic fluency. She is so tethered to the expression that's going on. This song about cutting off the fingers of a past lover so that they can't pull you down anymore. What an intense concept. I just get goosebumps literally just thinking about that idea for a song. What a powerful song of empowerment and breaking out of toxic relationships. So much going on in her singing. That was such a dynamic performance. I'm going to start breaking it down here now. I want to go back to the verse. So this opening is such a cool thing to do already. It's almost like wailing a little bit, like there's a looseness to it. Not that it's loose in pitch, but there's a looseness in the tone. It sets this mood for where we're going. Perfect little foreshadowing of the emotions that are about to come.
Probably saw me let go. Panicked and you said hello. Swallowing the words you say. You know I'm not okay.
All right. So that vocal tone that she's using right there, she's at a really low energy level as far as the amount of air pressure she's putting into the voice, but there's a lot of electricity in the expressive energy. And there's something I talk about with students a lot of figuring out how to be soft but keeping it electrified. A lot of times in verses of songs you have to do that. And you can hear that she's doing that here. She's got a little bit of compression on her tone, so it's got a little bit of an edge, a little huskiness. There's a lot of auditory roughness is what they call it in voice pedagogy, a little airflow allowance through the tone. But then she has these little creaky sounds that she's doing in and out, which are adding angst, they're adding drama. And she's snapping between the consonants quite a bit to give more drama. But she's not loud yet.
But let me tell her I ain't cold. Now you're coming back for more.
Hear those little those little stop-starty things? So cool. Ren does some of that too. So you all have told me that they consider themselves musical siblings. I mean, come on. This level of intensity and the emotion is very much like the stuff that Ren does. This level of pushing out, so cool. I mean, I can see the musical sibling reference for sure.
You know me, you know I'll cave, but scars will never fade.
Notice how small her expression is here. She's pulling us in now. This is a great skill to have to pull us into you on the intimate parts. It makes you want to lean in a little bit more, which holds our attention. Your job as an artist in this context is to express yourself, of course, but secondarily to hold our attention. Like, we wouldn't all be here if this wasn't holding our attention. And she has us in the palm of our hands right now with the way that she's pulling us in, which is going to make it even more exciting later when she puts her foot in our chest and she pushes us back in our chairs for the big stuff, you know? That control of our attention is such an important part of learning how to be a great great singer like she is.
So meet me 2 o'clock the same.
Do you hear how legato and connected that line is? It's really interesting the contrast of the legato in that line with where we're going to be going in the chorus with a one by one, that little staccato thing. And by the way, look, like I heard this one time through, and that melody in the chorus is so sticky. It's not a conventional type of a hook in a chorus, that staccato one by one thing that she's doing there, but it's super memorable. It sticks in your head. That's great songwriting. Listen to that legato part again. Check it out.
You know me, you know I'll cave, but scars will never fade. So meet me 2 o'clock the same.
See?
As
Connected.
Always, favorite spot.
So that's contrast.
And one by one, I'll cut your fingers clean off.
That is such a killer chorus. I was so surprised when I first heard it. Like that popping, so unique. And again, this whole holding our attention. This is such dynamic songwriting, dynamic performing. It's brilliant. This is absolutely brilliant.
So you can never pull me down.
Notice how she's got this strength into her syllables. Pull me down. There's this little bite to it. That's a way that you as a singer can add drama and add intensity without blasting your voice hard.
One by one, I'll box them up, scream murder.
I love the way she's using her diction here. One by one. She's really snapping into those shadow vowels at the end of the word. That again creates such drama, and it's not a normal thing for like a contemporary commercial music singer to do. Sometimes that can push into almost making you sound a little bit musical theater, but she doesn't sound musical theater here. She sounds still like a gritty contemporary commercial music singer. This is where we're starting to get into these blurred stylistic lines. This is a little performance art like to some degree, in the same way that some of Ren's stuff is. It's not pushing out in the way of song form where it's kind of like we're not observing song form. This song clearly has verse, chorus, bridge, chorus kind of going on in it, but it definitely has a performance art type of a feel to it. I mean, look at the costuming and stuff like that. It's so interesting.
No, you can never hurt no one. So tell me where you're gone.
This part kills me. Just that chord progression change in the piano kills me right here. Oh, one of the things I have to say that's been kind of tricky for me with all of these songs that you renegades are throwing at me is, like, I'm really curious to go check out these libraries just as a fan and just listen through and create a playlist of Ren songs and just enjoy them. But I'm resisting doing it so that I can have my first reactions for you all on camera here. But it's tough. Like, I'm in the fan club now, so I've got to figure out how to balance this. You're worth it to wait for, so I'm going to keep doing it like this.
No one. So tell me where you're gone. And tell me, is the fun gone? Whoa, maybe I should shed a tear.
Oh, these lyrics.
This was me last year. So meet me late at night where no one hears us. I won't bite.
I love that legato. I mean, man, that contrast again. I know I spoke about it earlier, but I just love that connectedness. Very, very cool second verse here. Similar tone qualities to verse 1. We've got this introspective, pulling us in, light, husky sound. It's just so intimate and so appropriate for this narrative of this angsty, toxic relationship that the protagonist is trying to break out of or has broken out of. And now this bridge, I am excited to talk about this bridge.
One by one, I'll box them up, scream murder.
I love the little growl that she puts at the end. Murder. She does that little growl at the end. So if you think about adding grit to your voice, imagine it's like a dial. So at the low end of the dial, your voice will just have a little squeeze on it. Once you turn it up a little bit, you start getting these creaky sounds. Once you turn that dial all the way, we get into these growl type of sounds. And that's what she's doing right here. It's the most dramatic grit effect you can put on your voice.
So you can never hurt no one.
Here we go. All right, let's break that down. One thing she's doing here in this bridge, which is really hard to do, is to have that much agility to move your voice when you're in that intense of a belt. A lot of times when people are belting, their voice gets locked down and it gets tough to do riffs and things like that. But she has such fluency up there when she's holding those belt notes that she can still move and riff. Listen for how agile she is. Also, listen for her interesting use of vibrato. She brings vibrato into that top sustained high note, and it's really appropriate. Sometimes when you bring vibrato into a note, it can take it out of the contemporary commercial music genre if you don't do straight tone and then let the vibrato come in later. But she turns on the vibrato right at the beginning of that note, and it still has this intensity. She doesn't have a lot of pitch variation in her vibrato, which is a good thing for a contemporary commercial music singer. If your vibrato gets too wide, like that, it starts to sound like musical theater or even sometimes opera. Her vibrato is so tight and perfect for a contemporary commercial music singer. The brass and the power in her tone here is insane. Let's go back and listen for her mobility in her upper register. Listen for that vibrato, and just listen for the overall tone quality change that we have in the brassiness in her voice versus the husky windiness that she was using in the verses of the song. Here we go. Brass. So it's cool. I didn't notice this until just then. She had vibrato on the first part of that held note, and then she kind of like turned it off as she came down. Really cool. And by the way, if you have a hard time turning off your vibrato, that's how you do it, is you start sliding. For whatever reason, your body doesn't do vibrato easily when you're sliding. I don't know why, but that's just a trick I've figured out over the years, having done this for a million years. So wow. Now, here's the cool thing that she does next here. She jumps up the octave and does the chorus a whole octave higher, which, like, it's kind of sounding at this point like it's going off the rails. It's so wild of a thing to do because she's way, way up there. Most contemporary commercial music singers don't sing that high, especially with that much drama and intensity. Woo! That is so good, man. So that little bite that she does at the start of this final chorus is so intense. Her dynamic variation, her tone quality variation in this song is insane. She's super husky, super minimal, and then she's blasting away. What a dynamic artist she is. I mean, just like Ren, she's dynamic. I mean, you know, I get it. They're musical siblings. It makes perfect sense. Listen to that bite in her tone there. Let's listen to that one more time. She's doing so much there. She's got the brass in the belt. She's got a lot of compression. Then immediately she's flipping into a heady mix, but with lots of airflow allowance in it. Then bye, bye. She's way, way, way up in her head voice. Then she comes back down and does this little back throat guttural, a little bit of growl. And then clean off. She's got this like real squeeze on her voice. So much edge. It's tough to bring this much grit and edge into that high of a head voice sound. Wow. So you can never pull me down. Now hear that energy? Now, I just stopped it right before that. This cool riff that she did. So you can never pull me down. life. That is so badass. She's badass. Like, man, what a powerhouse. She is a powerhouse singer. Wow, wow, wow. Thank you for recommending this. Keep recommending songs for me. Like, I'm having a blast listening to these songs.
One by one, I box them up, scream murder.
That level of grit is so killer there. There are some grit singers that only can do that, and it's like they get stuck with that dial on. That can happen to the voice. What I love about her voice is that she has such control of her grit. I call that the compression dial. When you compress your voice hard, you get the growl. When you compress it less, you have less growl. And being able to vary that appropriately expressively is a really advanced skill for a singer to have. And she's a master of it. She's an absolute master of that.
So you can never hurt no one. And if I were you, I wouldn't wanna fall asleep. 'Cause karma's coming back for you. And she's in the shape of me. And if I were you.
The power. She's tapping into so much power in her voice there, but not pushing through. And that's the thing. Sometimes you'll listen to artists and you'll hear that they have power, but then there's also a little bit of a strain on the voice. One example of that I think about is Demi Lovato, the song Stone Cold. I love that song. I've taught that song a lot with students, but if you listen to that studio recording of Demi Lovato, there's too much air pressure on her voice in that upper register. It's kind of uncomfortable. It makes me think that she's not going to be singing like that forever. This doesn't sound unhealthy to me, as gritty and as heavy and as badass as it is. I don't hear any vocal technical danger in her using her voice like this. This is very controlled. And by the way, making a gritty sound doesn't hurt your voice when you do it right, because it's other things in the throat that are vibrating when you're making that sound. This is so killer.
I wouldn't wanna fall asleep, 'cause karma's coming back for you.
She's got so much R&B, soul, hip-hoppiness in her voice. I can really hear those roots in her singing, and she is an absolute master of riffing and improvising. Man, I wonder how many takes this took. Did she do this in one take? If you know anything about this shoot or about how this came about, I would be really curious to know about that.
And she's in the shape of me, shape of me, shape of one.
Karma's coming back for you, and she's in the shape of me. Those lyrics, that's killer. And this concept, one by one, I'll cut your fingers clean off so you can never pull me down. What? You know, that is dramatic. That's such an intense visual for a song. And that's how lyrics stick in our minds, by the way, is it plants an image or it plants an intense scene in our minds that then we hold on to. Those lyrics are definitely doing that.
I fall asleep, 'cause karma's coming back for you. And she's in the shape of me.
Karma's coming back for you, and she's in the shape of me. Yeah, that's it. I wouldn't go to sleep because karma's coming back for you, and she's in the shape of me. That is badass. That is badass writing. Wow. Woo!
Shape of me, shape of one by one.
I love the little creaks she's doing on the way out. Those little creaky sounds is so cool.
And I'm gonna one by one. So keep them close to you.
Hear that little tone quality change? So keep them close to you. She kind of opens up and lifted her soft palate there, shut her mouth down, went into more of a head mix. But by keeping it that squeeze on it like that, it gives this different sort of tone quality. Man, she's such a vocal shapeshifter. It's so cool. Very, very cool.
Put your keys in your knuckles like I have to.
Oh. Oh, I love how her voice kind of broke off at the end there. You know, that falls in again to that, you know, the theme of what I've been talking about in this video today, this idea of humanity in music. Like, this is raw singing. This is real singing. And it's exciting and it feels good. And my message into the future is let's keep human music alive, you know. Wow. Chinchilla, I am a big fan. This is some spectacular singing. Now I've got a new rabbit hole here, the Chinchilla rabbit hole. And I just don't have enough time to make as many videos as I want to. I'm going to have to figure this out more. This has been really fun, this whole thing that's growing. I mean, it's been a lot for me to process all the comments and all the new. I'm not used to this, and I'm trying to figure out how to work this into my very busy life with teaching and my obsession with Brazilian jiu-jitsu. So, this is like this has been a lot, but I have such a blast listening to these songs, especially these great songs that you all keep recommending. And it's fun for me to post them. It's fun for me to get comments and feedback and connect with you all. I'm learning so much from you all in the comments on these artists that I'm reacting to, and then I'm bringing it into my studio. It's been really interesting because a lot of my students now are following along and they're becoming fans of the artists that I'm reacting to. And then the thing that I've got to be careful with is they want to start singing some of these songs, and I don't want them to start singing songs that of these artists that I haven't heard yet, because I want to have an authentic first reaction. But hey, that's the nature of the business, I guess. But anyway, it's been awesome connecting with you all. I love this video. If you like what I'm talking about, subscribe, click the little notification to stay up to date. And I'm going to keep posting in the community tab too. So if you want to connect up about more song ideas, I want to just keep group discussions going over there. So thanks. Great to see you. I'll be posting more soon. Cheers.